For years, seed oils have been called everything from toxic to liquid poison. Open social media and you'll hear that they're causing obesity, heart disease, diabetes, inflammation, even cancer. The advice sounds simple. Throw away your vegetable oil, cook with butter. Problem solved. But then something strange happens. When scientists actually compare countries, populations, and thousands of clinical trials, the story refuses to stay simple. Some evidence seems to support the fear. Other evidence completely destroys it. So who's right? Have we been eating one of the biggest health mistakes in history? Or have millions of people been scared away from one of the most misunderstood foods on Earth? By the end of this video, you'll understand why this argument became so confusing and why the real answer is much more surprising than either side wants you to believe. Let's start with the accusation that made seed oils famous. The claim is that seed oils cause inflammation. It sounds believable. After all, oils like soybeans, sunflower, corn, and canola contain a fat called omega-6. You've probably heard this before. Omega-6 causes inflammation. Simple, easy, terrifying. Except that's only half the sentence. To understand why, imagine your body as a city. Every day, tiny things get damaged. You scrape your knee, you catch a cold, you lift weights. Construction crews rush in to repair everything. That's inflammation. Without it, you'd never heal. Inflammation itself isn't the villain. Too much inflammation is. Now here's where omega-6 enters the story. Your body can turn one type of omega-6 fat, linoleic acid, into other molecules, some of which help create inflammation. That sounds bad until you discover something almost nobody mentions. The very same pathway also creates molecules that help stop inflammation and promote healing. In other words, omega-6 isn't simply an on switch, it's part of the entire control panel. So what happens in real people? This is where the mystery deepens. If seed oils truly created chronic inflammation, then people eating more of them should consistently have higher levels of inflammatory markers in their blood. Makes sense, right? Researchers have tested exactly that. Large systematic reviews and meta-analyses looking at controlled feeding studies found that increasing linoleic acid, the main omega-6 fat in seed oils, generally does not increase common markers like C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, or tumor necrosis factor. Wait, how can that be? The molecule can participate in inflammatory pathways, yet eating more of it usually doesn't increase inflammation. That's our first clue. What happens inside a test tube isn't always what happens inside a living human. But if inflammation isn't the smoking gun, maybe the real problem is something even worse: heart disease. This is where the story takes another turn. For decades, butter and animal fat were normal kitchen staples. Then, public health advice shifted toward vegetable oils. Many people now say that switch was a disaster. But here's the puzzle. If replacing butter with seed oils was a mistake, why did researchers keep recommending it? Because they weren't guessing. They were measuring something: LDL cholesterol. Think of LDL as delivery trucks carrying cholesterol through your bloodstream. You need those trucks. But if too many are driving around for too long, more cholesterol can end up inside artery walls, and over many years, plaques can grow. Now here's something almost every major nutrition organization agrees on. Replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fats, especially those rich in linoleic acid, usually lowers LDL cholesterol. Not by magic, by changing how the liver handles cholesterol. So lowering LDL sounds good. But here's the obvious question. Who cares if cholesterol changes if people still die at the same rate? Exactly. That's why scientists don't stop at cholesterol. They look at actual heart attacks and deaths. Large meta-analyses of randomized controlled trials have generally found that replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fats reduces cardiovascular events. Not every individual study agrees. Some older trials had design problems, some included trans fats, some had poor dietary tracking. But when researchers weigh the highest quality evidence together, the overall picture still points in the same direction. Replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fats usually helps heart health. So, case closed? Not even close. Because the internet's biggest argument isn't about fresh seed oils, it's about damaged seed oils, and that changes everything. Imagine leaving a sliced apple on your kitchen counter. After a while, it turns brown. The oxygen in the air slowly changes it. Fats can do something similar. Heat, light, and repeated frying can damage oils through oxidation. This produces new compounds that weren't there originally. Now the question becomes, are people actually eating fresh oils or damaged ones? Think about a fast food restaurant. The same fryer may cook food for hours, sometimes even longer. Oil is heated again and again and again. That repeated heating creates far more oxidation products than simply pouring fresh oil onto a salad. Suddenly, the mystery shifts. Maybe people aren't reacting to seed oils themselves. Maybe they're reacting to what happens after those oils are abused. And scientists agree on one thing. Repeatedly overheated cooking oils are not something you want more of. They generate compounds that can damage cells in laboratory studies, and minimizing repeatedly reused frying oil is sensible. But here's the twist. That doesn't mean every bottle of canola or sunflower oil in your kitchen is dangerous. Fresh oil and abused fryer oil are not the same thing, yet they're often treated as if they are. Now, another question appears. If seed oils aren't automatically harmful, why do so many studies link them with unhealthy diets? The answer has almost nothing to do with the oil itself. Imagine two shopping carts. The first contains vegetables, beans, fish, fruit, yogurt, nuts, and olive oil. The second contains fries, donuts, chips, sugary drinks, frozen pizza, and cookies. Both carts contain seed oils, but only one represents an unhealthy diet. Seed oils are everywhere, not because they're secretly poisonous, because they're inexpensive, neutral tasting, and widely used in processed food. That's an important difference. When someone eats lots of ultra-processed food, they're also getting refined starches, excess calories, added sugar, salt, and often very little fiber. It's easy to blame the oil, but was the oil the real problem, or was it everything traveling alongside it? This is one of the hardest traps in nutrition. Correlation isn't always causation. The same ingredient can appear inside both healthy and unhealthy diets, which brings us to one of the strangest clues of all. Some of the world's healthiest dietary patterns contain seed oils. Mediterranean-style diets often include small amounts of sunflower or canola oil alongside olive oil. Many Asian populations use soybean oil, yet these diets are consistently associated with lower rates of cardiovascular disease when compared with typical Western eating patterns. If seed oils alone were driving modern disease, that pattern shouldn't exist, unless we've been asking the wrong question. Maybe the real question was never, are seed oils good or are seed oils bad? Maybe it should have been, what are they replacing? That's the missing piece almost every argument ignores. Imagine replacing butter with canola oil. Research suggests that's generally beneficial for heart health. Now imagine replacing grilled salmon with potato chips fried in vegetable oil. Obviously, that's worse. The oil didn't magically cancel out the fish. Context matters. Nutrition isn't about one ingredient wearing a superhero cap or a villain mask. It's about the entire meal, the entire diet, the entire lifestyle. But there's still one accusation left, the biggest one. People often say, our grandparents didn't eat seed oils. That sounds convincing until you think about everything else that changed. Our grandparents also walked more, slept differently, smoked far more, had fewer sugary drinks, ate fewer ultra-processed foods, consumed less overall food, lived in completely different environments. Trying to blame one ingredient for every modern disease is like trying to explain a plane crash by pointing at one single loose screw. Human health is much messier than that, and that's exactly why nutrition science is so frustrating. People want one villain, one miracle food, one easy answer. Reality almost never gives us one. So, what's the actual truth?
Here it is. Fresh seed oils are not the nutritional monsters they're often made out to be. The strongest evidence available today does not support the idea that normal consumption of linoleic acid-rich seed oils causes chronic inflammation in healthy people. Replacing saturated fats with polyunsaturated fats generally improves LDL cholesterol and lowers cardiovascular risk. At the same time, deep-fried, ultra-processed foods eaten in excess absolutely can be part of an unhealthy diet. Repeatedly overheated oils aren't something to celebrate, and no cooking oil, not butter, olive oil, coconut oil, or seed oil, can rescue a poor diet. That's the twist. The biggest myth wasn't that seed oils were perfect. It wasn't that they were poisonous either. The biggest myth was believing that one bottle of oil could explain the world's health problems. Nutrition almost never works like a courtroom. There usually isn't one guilty suspect. There are dozens of small decisions adding up over years. And once you understand that, the entire debate suddenly looks very different. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth behind this mystery, subscribe for more videos that challenge what you think you know.